Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Thank you, Michelle Regner, of excellent Filipina who does great voice work. She does lots of work, and you can get in touch with her through Fiverr. I recommend her highly, Michelle Regner. Also, we thank you for tuning in to hear David Bryan as Mr. District Attorney from 69 years ago, February 8th, 1953, the case of death by adoption. And we thank you for tuning in on this Tuesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, 8th day of February. We have 39th day of the year, 326 days until we get to 2023. A doctor in Salem Village, Massachusetts, declared 3 teenage girls were under the domination of Satan, leading to the Salem witch trials. Back in 1692. 1910, the Boy Scouts of America, incorporated by William D. Boyce. D.W. Griffin's controversial film, The Birth of a Nation, premiered in L.A. on this date in 1915. The Stars and Stripes newspaper published for the first time for our servicemen in 1918. President Warren G. Harding introduced the first radio into the White House in 1922. The first state execution using gas in the U.S. took place in Nevada, not Nevada, Nevada, in 1924. Travel, financial, and commercial transactions by U.S. citizens to Cuba made illegal by the Kennedy administration on this date in 1963. An attack on black students from the South Carolina State University who are protesting racial segregation at the town's only bowling alley. That attack left 3 or 4 dead. On this date in 1968 in Orangeburg, South Carolina. How far have we come? The last weekly issue of the Saturday Evening Post hit newsstands on this date in 1969. And in 1970, the owner of that small New York farm, Max Yasgur, refused to rent his farm for a second Woodstock festival.
I have no intention of a repeat next year, not because I have anything against the promoters. I have nothing against the promoters. I have nothing against the young people. I think that these music festivals should be held, but I definitely feel that our place and our little township is too small for the kind of crowds they would have to handle.
Probably the best explanation why there was no Woodstock 2 up in in rural New York. NASDAQ stock market index debuted in 1971. After 84 days in space, the crew of the temporary American space station Skylab returned to Earth on this date in 1974.
Now, just a few hundred feet above the Pacific Ocean, splashdown, that's it. A beautiful, beautiful splashdown, and it looks from our point as though the command ship is in what's called, the command module is in what's called a stable 1 position. That means it is upright.
And while they arrived safely, Skylab burned up in the Earth's atmosphere over the Pacific Ocean in 1979. Big whoop-to-do. What happens if Skylab lands in, because they didn't really know what they were doing at that point. They were hoping it would land in the Pacific, and it did. In fact, I remember, was it Taco Bell that put a buoy out in the middle of the ocean and said if it hit here, everybody will get a free taco? They do all that sort of stuff back in 1974. Debuting on this date on CBS, the Norman Lear Look at Urban Culture, Good Times, Esther Roll, John Amos, and Jimmy Walker starring in the show. And Jimmy Walker, for years, was just reticent to even embrace that character that made him a star. He really was. Today you see him doing Medicare commercials, and he will say dynamite. He wouldn't for years when he was performing in comedy clubs. I say that having been around Jimmy Walker when he was in those comedy clubs. Proceedings of the Senate broadcast on radio for the first time on this date in 1978. C-SPAN radio continues to this day over a terrestrial radio station WCSP in Washington and via Sirius XM and Android and iTunes apps. Now, GM sued NBC on this date in 1993 after Dateline NBC allegedly rigged 2 crashes intended to demonstrate that some GM pickups could easily catch fire if hit in certain places. NBC would settle the lawsuit the next day. Rigging news stories. See NBC? Who'd have thunk it? The Congress passed the Communications Decency Act on this date in 1996, allegedly to regulate pornography on the Internet. Michael Jackson's personal physician, Dr. Conrad Murray, pled not guilty to involuntary manslaughter on this date in 2010 in the death of the pop superstar in L.A. Superior Court. Murray convicted and sentenced to 4 years in jail. Among those passing away on this date in history, just last year, Mary Wilson, one of the founding members of the Supremes, also passing away on this date in history, Mary Queen of Scots. Del Shannon, Runaway, great song, passing away due to suicide back in 1990. And passing away in 2007, Anna Nicole Smith.
At 2:49 this afternoon, we were advised by hospital personnel that Anna Nicole Smith had died.
Spokesperson for a Florida hospital following the accidental prescription drug overdose death of Anna Nicole Smith on this date back in 2007. This is the birth date of Jules Verne, also actor Charlie Ruggles, Freddie Blassie, nothing but a pencil-neck geek. A great entertainer. Also Lana Turner, Jack Lemmon, Audrey Meadows, Dan Seals from England. He was England Dan with England Dan and John Ford Coley. Gary Coleman, born on this date in history, along with an actor taken from us far too young, James Dean.
My well came in big, so big, and there's more down there, and there's bigger wells. I'm rich, bitch. I'm a rich boy. Me, I'm gonna have more money than you ever thought you could have. You and all the rest of you stinking sons of Benedicts.
From the 1956 motion picture Giant, earned James Dean an Academy Award nomination, and the last of his films, killed in a car crash before the film was released. James Dean, born on this date in history, taken from us far too young. He was only 24. Happy birthday number 90 to the man behind the music for Star Wars E.T. 25 Grammy Awards. John Williams, 90 years old today. Ted Koppel, 82 years of age today, and that's all I'll say about him. Actor Nick Nolte is 81. Comedian Robert Klein is 80 today. Such a funny man, still doing comedy today. Former supermodel and TV host Christine Ferrara is 72. Actress Mary Steenburgen is 69. The man behind The Firm and A Time to Kill, John Grisham, 67. I'm thinking Jonathan Grisham, which is somebody else. Motley Crue's Vince Neil is 61. You see all the Progressive insurance commercials on TV. Stephanie Courtney, who is Flo, 52. Well, it's the big show, but not anymore. Paul White, who has been wrestling for 26 years, 50 years of age. He was in the WWE for 22 years and is now in All Elite Wrestling on TBS. Paul White, 50 years old. Actor Seth Green is 48. From Saturday Night Live, Cecily Strong is 38. And you saw the movie Soul Surfer? The woman that was based on, Bethany Hamilton, the pro surfer with only one arm, 32 years of age today. Those some of the people who celebrate the 8th day of February is their birthday. If this is your birthday,
hi. We're the four freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you.
From 69 years ago, February 8th, 1953, David Bryan, Mr. District Attorney, is next on this Tuesday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station. You've heard us talk about the luxurious Giza Dream sheets from MyPillow. Well, now they're on sale, 60% off, as low as $39.99. Lots of other overstock items and a free copy of Mike Lindell's book, What Are the Odds from Crack Addict to CEO, with any purchase, but you've got to use my promo code USA. Go to MyPillow.com, the Radio Listener Square, use my promo code USA, or call 1-800-951-8175. For a show of its nature, Mr. District Attorney had a really long run on radio. It ran on NBC Blue, NBC Red, and ABC from 1939 all the way to 1952. Now, you're wondering how today's show could have aired in 1953? That's because the show, once it ended on ABC, went to syndication, and it ran for another year. This episode of the show was not one of the original people who played the district attorney. David Bryan played Mr. District Attorney in syndication for the year it was there. And that's what you're going to hear today from February 8th, 1953, 69 years ago, the case of death by adoption.
Mr. District Attorney, starring David Bryan. Mr. District Attorney, champion of the people, defender of truth, guardian of our fundamental rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
And it shall be my duty as District Attorney not only to prosecute to the limit of the law all persons accused of crimes perpetrated within this county, but to defend with equal vigor the rights and privileges of all its citizens.
Now, here is our star, David Bryan, as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
The ugliest word known to a district attorney is blackmail. An evil in itself, it can also breed other and more violent crimes. It frequently ends in murder. Take the case of Larry Cashman, a used car dealer. It was a Saturday night, late. He was at his lot in the small office, waiting for somebody. Not a customer.
Hi, Mr. Cashman. Glad to see you waited for me.
Never mind a friendly greeting, Stryker. What do you want this time?
I'm kind of short of folding money. Thought you might be a pal. Help me out again.
You know what this is, don't you, Stryker? The Lord called it a shakedown. I gave you $100 2 weeks ago, and another $100 a month before that.
Does money last forever? I need more.
You're not getting more. Not from me.
Well, it's too bad. I'm sorry you feel that way, Mr. Cashman. I thought you were a nice guy, the kind of a guy I'd like to see raise my baby. As long as I can't raise her myself.
You leave the baby out of this.
No, you can't expect me to forget about her, Mr. Cashman. After all, she's my own flesh and blood.
She belongs to me and my wife, legally, by adoption.
You keep forgetting one important thing. I never signed no papers letting you adopt her.
Your wife said you were dead.
She thought I was dead, maybe. But my being here proves I ain't. And if we ever have to take this into court, Mr. Cashman, I'm little Ann's natural father. I got my rights.
How much?
Oh, I guess 100 will see me through again.
I'll give you 500.
Well, now that's better.
Now, let me finish. I'll give you 500 if you go to my lawyer and sign a paper waiving all rights to the baby.
Do you think I'm crazy? Oh, no. No, I like our arrangement fine. From now on, I'll be around every Saturday night to pick up my $100. I'll take tonight's payment now.
All right, Stryker. There's your 100. And it's the last you're getting.
So this is your parting gift to me, huh? Not much, considering the size of the roll you peeled it off of. All right. I'll leave you alone. I'll take my payment in full right now. Dig that roll out again and toss it on the desk.
I see. Now it's a gun, huh?
You see it, and I know how to use it.
I'm not going to give you another dime, Stryker. All you're going to get is what you deserve.
Put that down.
I'm calling the police.
You ain't calling anybody.
Maybe I'm stronger than you think.
You ain't stronger than this. Maybe you should have confided in your wife, Mr. Cashman. But you're the only one who knows about me. And you ain't ever going to tell anyone else. Thanks for the final payment.
Chief. Sorry to get you out of bed.
Well, that's what the county pays us for, Harrington. Lab crew's already been here, huh?
Yeah. How'd you know?
The fingerprint boys left some dusting powder on the desk there.
No. Well, the prints aren't going to be much good, though, I'm afraid. Too many people coming out of a place like this, signing papers on the desk.
What time was this discovered?
About 11:30. Cashman's wife had spoken to him on the phone just after 10. Said he was coming right home. When he didn't, she called back a couple of times and got a busy signal. Finally, she called the operator. The phone's off the hook, see?
Uh-huh.
When the operator told her the line was dead, she called the police.
Oh, what's that?
What? Oh, that yellow spot on the floor?
Yes.
Well, the lab boy said it was some kind of chalk somebody stepped on. They scraped a little of it up and took it in for analysis.
Cashman used chalk to mark prices on his cars?
Cardboard cutouts.
Floor was pretty clean otherwise. Wastepaper basket empty. This place must have been swept out after the day's business. That chalk was ground in there after the place was cleaned.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Cashman usually carry a lot of money on him?
Have to in the used car business, Chief. People selling in a hurry need a fast dollar.
You find any money on the body?
Only 86 cents and change.
Somebody needed a fast dollar, all right.
Robbery motive, no doubt about it. You want to go to Cashman's home? Have a talk with his wife?
No. Better wait until morning. She'll be in no condition to talk now. You have the car with him?
No, I came over in a cab when I got the call.
Good. You can ride back to the office with me.
Newspaper photographers and reporters over there, Chief. I've been holding them off.
They can go in, as long as the lab crew's finished.
All right, Pete, you can let them go in now.
Okay.
No, fellas. No statements from Mr. Garrett until tomorrow. Check with the office later. Let's get out of here before they mob you.
I phoned Miss Miller before I left home. She'll be at the office.
2 and what? At 2 a.m.?
Finding out all we can about Larry Cashman. Wife, family, known associates, the usual. The more you know about a dead man, the better chance you have to find out who killed him.
Here's the Cashman report, Mr. Garrett.
Thanks, Miss Miller. How does it look?
Mostly vital statistics, I'm afraid. Cashman was 55 years old. Mrs. Cashman in her late 40s, no relative, except a 2-year-old baby.
2-year-old baby?
Yeah? Oh, see what you mean. The child's adopted.
Yeah, I thought they were kind of old to have a baby that young.
Was the adoption legal?
Yes, sir. Copy of the court record attached. They'd never had a child of their own. A couple of years ago, they took in a girl whose husband had been killed in an accident. When the mother got sick and knew she was dying, she agreed to let the Cashmans adopt the baby.
Get that, will you, Miss Miller?
Yes, sir. District Attorney's office. Oh, yes, Pete. Fine, I'll tell him. Thanks. Pete from the lab. They did an analysis on that yellow chalk from the floor of the shack on Cashman's car lot.
Anything special about it?
Yes, Pete says it wasn't ordinary chalk. It's the type that surveyors use for marking.
Surveyors, huh?
That's what he said.
That might help us, Chief.
Well, not unless we can find out where it ties in. What time is it?
Almost 8 a.m.
Well, I think we can go see Mrs. Cashman now.
I have to get the baby's cereal ready. She'll be waking up soon.
Well, that's all right, Mrs. Cashman. We don't like to ask you questions at a time like this, but it's necessary.
Oh, about that yellow chalk, Mrs. Cashman.
No. Larry never used chalk. I never saw any of it, here or at the lot.
From 69 years ago, February 8th, 1953, Mr. District Attorney, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll have the news from 69 years ago coming up next and the conclusion of Mr. District Attorney. But first, listen to this.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if, like a lot of people, you just have a plan you're not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. It's a Christian healthcare sharing program. There are more than 400,000 members now, and they love it. In fact, MediShare has double the customer satisfaction rate compared to that of health insurance. And MediShare really is the gold standard when it comes to healthcare sharing. It's been around more than 25 years. Members have shared more than $4 billion of each other's medical bills. Plus, MediShare is for you. It has saved its members billions by advocating on their behalf. Best of all, the typical savings for a family is around $6,000 a year. So if you think you're stuck with a high-cost health plan that doesn't have much to offer, think again. MediShare has a 98% customer satisfaction rating, and you are invited to be part of it. Call now. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station, an episode of Mr. District Attorney, the case of death by adoption, as it was broadcast Sunday, February 8th, 1953, in the newspapers of that Sunday, 69 years ago. These were some of the headlines. Dr. James B. Conant, new High Commissioner to Western Germany, disclosed today that President Eisenhower has directed him to speed to Germany, where decisions critical of the defense of the Western world against communism are soon to be made. The retiring Harvard professor, one of the nation's leading scientist educators and a figure in development of the atomic bomb, sworn into his new job in the office of Acting Secretary of State H. Freeman Matthews. He had been confirmed by the Senate yesterday after controversy over his World War II attitude toward Germany. The mass circulation Sunday pictorial in London said in a front-page editorial as a pro-Labourite open letter that President Eisenhower's first 19 days in office had been disastrous and caused a crisis between Britain and the United States. President Eisenhower announced he would nominate Mrs. Claire Booth Luce as ambassador to Italy. All indications were the Senate would confirm her. This would give Mrs. Luce, the granddaughter of a Baptist minister and a convert to Catholicism, the honor of being America's second woman ambassador and the first to a major power. Senator Ferguson, the Republican of Michigan, said today the Air Force planned to spend hundreds of millions of dollars for spare engines and other aircraft parts, which it now admits are not necessary. Ferguson pointed to a report by a special Air Force study group to back up his contention that too much money was going for spare parts rather than completed aircrafts. Those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, February 8, 1953, on your radio, Mr. District Attorney, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater.
And he had no friends or acquaintances in the surveying business. Somebody he might have sold a car to or a truck.
No.
Aside from the money he carried, can you think of any reason for anybody wanting to harm him?
No. There was never anybody who didn't like Larry. What am I going to say to the baby when she asks for him? How can I tell her he won't ever come home to play with her again? Would you answer that for me, please? I don't want to talk to anybody. Now?
Yeah, it might be for us anyhow, Chief.
Go ahead.
Hello? Yeah. Yeah, this is Harry. No, go ahead. I'll write it down.
We were going on a picnic today.
Yeah.
Last night I made the sandwiches and everything.
Yeah, I got it.
We were going to leave right after church.
Yeah.
I knew something was wrong when he didn't come home.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Try not to think about it, Mrs. Cashman.
Oh, what else can I think about? All week long.
Yeah.
Larry was teaching Anne how to say picnic. She was just learning to pronounce it. And... No.
You must get a grip on yourself. For the baby's sake.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, I know.
All right, thanks. Yeah, we'll be in soon. I need us back at headquarters, Chief.
All right. Well, you shouldn't be here alone, Mrs. Cashman. Especially when the baby wakes up.
I called a nursing service just before you came. They're sending somebody over.
Well, that's good. Goodbye, Mrs. Cashman.
Goodbye, ma'am. Keep your chin up.
I'll try.
I wanted to rush back to the office, Harrington.
That cleaning man you wanted to question. The guy that cleaned up Cashman's lot and office.
Yeah?
His name is Dodie Smith. Boys from the Central Division just brought him in and booked him.
Booked him? I just wanted him for questioning. Why did they book him?
He looked like the one, Chief.
Well, why?
Well, he told them he cleaned the office last night at about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Cashman usually closed before then, but Smith admits he was still there.
Nothing necessarily wrong with that.
No, but the boys found out that Smith was on the town last night. Threw a big party and threw a lot of money around. Still had a few hundred on him when he was picked up.
Come on, he's going to be worth talking to. This is David Bryan. Before we continue with Mr. District Attorney in the case of death by adoption, here is an important message from our sponsor.
From 69 years ago, February 8th, 1953, Mr. District Attorney on Tuesday's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Are you suffering with arthritis or osteoporosis? Do you have diabetes? Did you know that these are just two of the hundreds of diseases that have seen improvement with Dr. Wallach's incredible longevity products? You can't get them at a health food store. The only way to get them is to call us at 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065. Do you have heart disease, fibromyalgia, or high blood pressure? Do you have a terrible time losing weight? Dr. Wallach can help. He was a veterinarian and cured diseases in animals. He felt that he could do the same for humans, so he became a physician. Over 50 years of research and helping people like you goes into every bottle of Dr. Wallach's amazing discoveries. Do you want to feel better? Learn how to treat the cause of your problem rather than covering up the symptoms with drugs. Call 800-214-0065. That's 800-214-0065.
Wednesday's Classic Radio Theater, Bennett Kilpack stars as Mr. Keene, tracer of lost persons, in an episode from February 9th, 1950, and the case of murder and the jewel thief. I've always wondered why Mr. Keene was always tracing lost persons, but always ended up dealing with dead people. Anyway, that'll be coming up on Wednesday's Classic Radio Theater, but now the conclusion of Mr. District Attorney from 69 years ago, February 8th, 1953.
And now back to David Bryan, starring as Paul Garrett, Mr. District Attorney.
A used car dealer had been murdered and robbed. The only clue was a piece of surveyor's chalk ground into the floor at the scene of the crime. But other things seemed to point to a cleaning man named Dodie Smith. If Smith was innocent, he didn't look it as we questioned him at the county jail. I began to forget about the surveyor's chalk.
Come on, Smith. Where were you last night?
I told you I was at a party at my own house.
Oh, we know about that. But where were you before the party?
Working for Cashman at the used car lot.
What time did your party start?
After 10 o'clock. Later, we left the house and went to a few other places.
What places?
Oh, dance halls, clubs, places like that.
With you picking up all the checks? Well, is that right or isn't it?
Who else? It was my party, wasn't it?
What time did you leave Cashman's lot last night?
I worked until 9, a little after maybe.
Was Cashman all right when you left the lot?
No, he wasn't. Cashman was a good man to work for most times, but... Well, last night somebody called him on the phone. He didn't say much to whoever it was, but he slammed the phone down real mad and yelled at me to hurry up and finish with the cleanup.
All right, never mind the life story. Where did you get the money? Now, you better spill it, Smith. Cashman was robbed, and you had almost $300 on you this morning when you picked up...
It was my own money.
You never made that kind of money cleaning up around a used car lot.
3 days ago, you were broke. You borrowed $2 from Cashman's mechanic.
You'd better account for that money, Smith.
What if I tell you I'll get in trouble?
If you don't tell me, you'll go on trial for murder. That can be trouble, too.
I sold a diamond ring.
Where would you get a diamond ring?
I found it.
Just picked it up on the street, huh?
No. Cashman had an out-of-state car on the lot, the big black limousine.
The one on the front corner of the lot? Up on the platform?
It's the one. He took it in on a trade 2 days ago. I wax all the cars as they come in, clean out the inside. I found a ring under the back seat. Must have got lost, slipped down there.
Who did you sell it to?
Guy named Portman at the Jewelers Exchange. He can tell you.
I hope so. Open up, Fogarty. We're coming out. He can make one phone call for legal counsel if he wants.
I better check the Jewelers Exchange.
Yeah, but if he's telling the truth, we're still short a murderer. He wouldn't be killing Cashman for money. Not while he was riding high with the money from that ring.
Well, that means we gotta start over again. Well, nothing.
No, it means we have to start over again from that spot of surveyor's chalk.
Here are the teletypes from the State Department of Highways, Mr. Garrett.
Thanks. It doesn't look like a very lengthy report.
It isn't. They're checking other state agencies, though, to see if any of them have surveying crews in the field.
Well, they better come up with something, or I'm... Hello, Harrington.
Hi. Portman finally broke down.
You buy the ring from Smith?
Yep.
You book him?
Yep. Receiving stolen property. That's the end of his license.
And it should be. Good jewelers don't buy without asking questions.
Well, that's the state capitol teletype now, Mr. Garrett.
You better get it.
You having any luck here?
Yes, but it's all bad. Only one crew. Perfect alibis for all of them.
Lots of surveyors in the state. Wouldn't have to be one who was working.
Well, no, but a working one would be more likely to be carrying a piece of chalk on him.
I carry my gun when I'm off duty.
That's because the law says you must. You better check up on your regulations. You're never off duty.
You're telling me. I think an 80-hour week is a vacation. Now, if I ever decide...
Mr. Garrett.
What?
One other state crew out, Department of Water and Power.
They checking on them?
Well, it's going to take a long time.
Why?
They're mapping the route for the new viaduct.
Oh, great. I read about that. They're way up in the mountains, Chief, 100 miles from nowhere.
Oh, there must be roads.
Not until they get the thing laid out and push bulldozers through. Only roads they've been able to use since the rainy season are old back trails. They need trucks with four-wheel drive to get in and out.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Miss Miller.
Yes, sir?
Call the police motor pool. Tell them I want to borrow a car.
What kind?
Anything they've got with a four-wheel drive.
Brother, I'd be more comfortable inside a cement mixer.
We must be getting closer to their camp.
Yeah? When we get there, they got a permanent border until a nice smooth road comes through here.
Oh, there's the camp. And that grove of trees to the right.
No cars or trucks. Half the tent's down.
They must be breaking camp. Move further in. Jeep over there. The pack rolls on the back. Must be somebody here yet. Hello. Anybody here?
You! Over this way!
They're taking a field stove little part there, Chief.
Yeah, come on. Thought for a minute we got here too late.
Almost did. We moved in another couple of miles. We just hauled some stuff onto the new camp.
You the crew foreman?
Yep. Jim Tracy's the name.
I'm Paul Garrett. This is my assistant, Harrington.
Hi.
Garrett? That's familiar. District attorney, aren't you?
Oh, that's right. How long you fellas been working through here?
Ooh, about 8 weeks now.
5 days a week?
No, 5.5. Half days Saturdays.
Any of your men go into the city on weekends?
Ooh, once in a while.
How about last weekend? Any of them go into town then?
Last weekend, yeah. 4 of them went in. Phillips, Stryker, Martin, and Canning. Hey, that's Stryker now, coming back with a truck to help me haul some of this stuff.
Must be a nut to jockey that thing on this kind of road and then do it weekends just to spend a night in town.
I know just how you feel. Hey, these fellas want to talk to you, Bill.
Me? What about?
About being in town last weekend. This is Mr. Garrett, the district attorney. Bill Stryker, Mr. Garrett.
Hello, Stryker.
Hi. What do you want to know?
Just like you to account for your time Saturday night, that's all.
Well, we just fooled around in town, that's all. Me and 3 other guys in the crew.
You didn't do any shopping?
Oh, what could we buy that we'd bring back here?
Thought maybe one of you might have been saving some money. Maybe enough to make a deal for a used car.
We, rode a bus both ways after we got the truck to the main highway.
I see. Well, thanks. That's all we wanted to know.
What's it all about?
Well, nothing important. Just routine. Thanks. Come on, Harrington.
Nothing important. You mean we ride all the way up here just for that?
Yeah, I'm afraid so. Hop in.
You're not even going to talk to the other 3 guys that was with that one?
Wouldn't do any good.
All this riding for nothing.
Sorry, Harrington. That's life. If we only knew who made that phone call to Cashman Saturday night. Oh, Dodie Smith said he was so upset about it.
Yeah.
When we get back to the city, I want to see Mrs. Cashman again.
Oh, when we get back to the city. If we get back to the city.
No, Mr. Garrett, I didn't know anybody had called my husband Saturday night before I did. I just knew he was upset, that's all.
Anything like that ever happened before? His being upset, I mean. Coming home much later than usual.
Yes, it did. 2 other times. The first time, more than a month ago. And then again 2 weeks ago.
Those other times, can you remember if they were Saturday nights, too?
Yes. Yes, they were. But I don't know why. I don't know what was bothering him.
Did he ever express any concern that somebody might harm the baby or try to take her away from you?
No. Who could take her from us? Both of Anne's parents are dead. Her mother agreed to the adoption before she passed on.
Did you ever see or know the child's father?
No. He died before Anne was born. He was killed in an accident.
Are you sure of that?
Anne's mother said so. She wouldn't have lied. It's all here in this paper she signed for us before she died. See, she signed it right here. Dorothy Stryker.
Stryker? Why, Chief, that's not...
I know. What was Stryker's first name, Mrs. Cashman? Was it Bill or William?
No. She said it was Arthur Stryker. Why? What is it?
I think I know who killed your husband now. And I'm beginning to have an idea why. You'll hear from us. Come on, Harrington. You know where we're going.
Yeah, but this time I'm not going to mind that ride. This time I know why we're taking it. This must be the foreman's tent.
Yeah. Let's go in. Tracy.
What the devil?
Quiet. Quiet. It's me again. Yard.
Oh, you scared me. What'd you come back for?
Where is Stryker sleeping?
He did something, huh?
What makes you think so?
Well, I thought he acted nervous after you left. He didn't eat much tonight. Just before I turned in, I saw him take his bedroll out of his tent. He's sleeping in the bed of one of the trucks.
That's all we want to know.
You better be careful. He's got a gun. I saw it once.
No, we know about it. You just stay right here until we take him.
Don't worry. I'm a surveyor, not a hero.
They're the trucks.
Yeah. If you can get the cuffs on him before he wakes up.
Nothing in this one.
It must be in the other one, then.
Funny, Chief. He's not in this one either, only... There he is.
Where?
Right over there by the Jeep.
Stop, Stryker!
He's got to come this way between the rock ledges.
Look out, Harrington!
Oh. Stop, Chief!
Harrington, you hit.
No, it's all right. How about Stryker?
You hit him. He drove into a ledge. He's pinned pretty badly.
Plenty bad.
Don't want to die. Don't let me die.
You better build a litter and get him out of here fast.
Right. Better make that 2 litters, Tracy.
I'm all right.
It's going to be a long, hard ride out, Harrington.
Well, like you said, Chief, never off duty. This is one vacation you're not going to cut short on me.
I promise you I won't, Harrington. I promise you.
Now, here is the star of Mr. District Attorney, David Bryan, with a word about the program you have just heard.
William Stryker lived long enough to confess his masquerade as the father of his dead brother's child in the murder of Larry Cashman. He was pronounced dead on arrival at the nearest hospital. Harrington underwent surgery for the removal of 2 bullets. He reported back for duty 6 weeks later. Now, this is David Bryan inviting you to join us when we present our next case based on the facts of crime from the file of Mr. District Attorney.
February 8th, 1953, the final season of Mr. District Attorney. 69 years ago, David Bryan playing Mr. District Attorney in that final season here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Would you visit my webpage, classicradio.stream? There you can stream our shows on demand, learn more about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can get in touch with me there not only on the page, but also through all of our social media. All the links are there as well at classicradio.stream. And also remember that our programs are available by podcast, but our podcast name has changed. You'll find it now as Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. It's available through iHeartRadio, Spotify, Amazon, Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday. Thank this station. Support the advertisers. Tell your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.